Am I capable of making a short video? Let's give it a try and see. First day back in the shop after holidays, so I'm gonna have to make it short kind of by necessity. I got a lot of stuff to catch up on. My recent video, I talked a little bit about not being apologetic and not even answering to accusations and really mere assertions about being a racist, a sexist, a homophobe, etc., etc. I talked a little bit about multiculturalism and this idea that some would say that, you know, the claim is made, diversity is our strength, which I don't know what the basis of that is. This is a platitude, if there ever was one. Please demonstrate how diversity is our strength. And what do you find as diversity and which diversity, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But one of the things that they, typically people on the left, have a tendency to do is they have a tendency to not have all that much tolerance for certain cultures and for certain idea sets, typically conservative or right-wing type idea sets, Western right-wing. And Eve Reel had posted a comment on my Google Plus asking a little bit about multiculturalism and sort of stating that she hadn't formulated her opinions of multiculturalism as of yet. And she could see there may be some benefits, but she wasn't quite sure. And Francis Roy had posted a pretty thoughtful comment about the different aspects of multiculturalism that tend to be aesthetic. And then the aspects of multiculturalism that have to do more with the more fundamental aspects of a culture, really a society. Now, when it comes to the aesthetic aspects of a culture, I would agree that I think, you know, having a multicultural society might be somewhat of a benefit. It's just sort of more interesting, right? You know, different traditions and dress and other things just might make it a little bit more interesting, a little more colorful, if you will. When it comes to the core fundamental aspects of a society, however, multiculturalism is not a strength. When you have people that differ drastically on very fundamental issues, like the rights of women, the rights of other people to express themselves as they would, the rights of people to have a certain sexual orientation, the rights of people to, I mean, you name it, right? That's when you have a clash of civilizations, is when you have cultures that differ dramatically on those points. I'm not speaking even necessarily of Muslim immigration into Western cultures either. I've made videos in the past where I've asked the question, are these aspects, these non-negotiable aspects of Western culture being made crystal clear to people who come from other countries when they come into our countries? I don't know, actually. I would hope that is the case, but from some of the things that you see happening in Europe, one would have to ask the question if this is being done at all. I think it's important to differentiate, when you're talking about multiculturalism, in other words, between those core fundamental aspects of rights and freedoms, etc., the moral heavyweight issues, and the aesthetic issues that make up a person's culture. The aesthetics, good, let's be multicultural, that's fine. But when I say I'm not even speaking just of Muslim immigration, we don't even agree in the West, right? There is a dramatic difference between the political left and the political right. And it's interesting to me to imagine how these rifts could ever be solved. And I think the only thing that is capable of that is rationality and empiricism. Narrative building's got to go. Ideological, dogmatic entrenchments got to go. We have to get down to the brass tacks of sorting these things out rationally and empirically. Otherwise, we are still lockstep in this forever teeter-totter. Ben Garrison, I think his name is, he's a political cartoonist. He made a cartoon recently where he shows, the right-left march of people leaning right, leaning left. They get tired of each change, each shift that comes with successive elections. We have a tendency to go a little right, we have a tendency to go a little left. No one's ever satisfied. And as I've said in videos past, what you've got in this culture war, as Bill O'Reilly likes to call it, is disparate groups of people hoping they can gain enough popularity, enough population, enough votes that they can impose their will on the now minority of the other belief system. And we're in this lockstep, and it's not going to change, I think, until people start having to actually support their political platforms rationally, with empirical evidence and data to back it up. And that's not typically done. I mean, what you've got is people just making assertions. I'm going to strip down Obamacare. Or everyone should have a right to health care. But these are assertions. These aren't rational cases. We're not engaging philosophically in these discussions. And I don't understand bringing this back to importing cultures that are vastly different in their beliefs on those and other heavyweight issues. I don't understand how we would ever expect to appeal to them to accept our Western way of life, again, in terms of these large heavyweight issues, if we can't appeal to something beyond the dogmatic, the ideological. And so I guess what I'm trying to say is this, and I've said this before, usually I make this case to the religious right here in the West, but this also applies to Islamists and really atheists as well. And that is, if you're going to expect people to subject themselves to a system of laws based on some ideology, you better be able to demonstrate that that ideology and all the proclamations that you're making are an accurate representation of the nature of our existence. And if you can't do that, I think we're going to have to pass. I think it's very, very important when one's talking about culture and multiculturalism that one differentiate between aesthetic culture and political culture. And that's what I think is not being addressed or recognized as carefully as it should be. In fact, this goes back to the main premise behind the video that this is all in response to, and that is you got to make an argument. You got to make a rational and empirical argument. Diversity is our strength. That's not an argument. Multiculturalism is a positive. It benefits society. That's not an argument. You've got to demonstrate how those things are a benefit. And when it comes to the individual cultures, the political cultures, the ideological cultures, you've got to make an argument why other people should accept yours. And now would be the point in the video in which you call me a racist. Thanks for watching.